Hi, John.
Welcome everybody to Water
There
Cooler
you go.
Wednesday.
Hello.
So we're here and I am recording so I can post this and send it out to people that want it. Jamie and I are going to be working on posting videos from the Coffee with the Coach, videos from Water Cooler Wednesday, videos from the Dot Loop Hour. So you have a reference. It's just hard because there's some that really need some extreme editing. So that's why I'm trying to make sure now that I have the recording off while everybody's joining in, and then turn it on. So there's not any weird lag time in there. So welcome. Happy February, everybody. It's the second month of the year. How many people, and you've got a reaction column there, you can give me a thumbs up. How many people either got a new listing or closed a transaction in the month of January? Give me a thumbs up. A new listing or closed a transaction? Nobody? Yay, Trisha, great. Anybody else? Anna Marie, great, good thumbs up there. Anna Marie, you see on the bottom, you've got those reactions there. I just learned this. I just learned this. What was it? 2 days ago, 3 days ago in a Zoom meeting. That you can use these different things. On Monday, I was in a Zoom meeting with
I see now.
MORR.
Okay.
So isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Lynn
Thank
closed a referral. Excellent. There's a closing. That helps. That's always wonderful extra bonus money in the pocket. Lisa Pastor, you got a listing meeting for February. Great. A listing appointment. Fantastic. Fantastic. All righty. And that's it. So today, we are going to talk. If you saw the agenda, I'm going to post the agenda up here, screen share and click. And today I'm starting out with a quote that I really especially fond of, and I thought it really fit well with being the month of February, which is Black History Month. But the topic today is love letters or liability letters. And some people aren't really quite sure what those are. But what they have to do with is the potential for discrimination, and especially with us as realtors, fair housing discrimination. So I pulled up this Rosa Parks quote, which I'm sure everybody is familiar with. Rosa Parks, who got on a bus and took a seat and refused to move to the back of the bus, which really started a movement. It says, "I would like to be known as a person who is concerned about freedom and equality and justice and prosperity for all." When we think about those things, we really think about those things basically every day in our real estate practice, where I'm sure people don't think about freedom. They don't necessarily think about justice. Hopefully they're thinking about equality and prosperity, definitely prosperity. But justice is, doing the right thing. And freedom is being able to, compete for a listing, or in multiple listing appointments, or compete with your buyers. The freedom to do that. No system that says you have to select one or more. So let's get this started and let's talk about love letters. Love letters are liability letters. So I've got I'm going to pull up the new screen here. Hold on, and here we go. also using these PowerPoints along with it, so they get recorded as well. And then I don't necessarily have to send out the PowerPoint selection along with the recording. So love letters, what I'm talking about as love letters, and they're referred to oftentimes by the National Association of Realtors that way. If you look it up on the NAR website, if you do some searching, real estate agents, love letters, you can find YouTubes. There's been articles written by several different associations. I've read articles by the Florida Realtors Association. Also, I'm an ABR and I get a newsletter. I've read articles from, there was just a recent article in the Accredited Buyers Representative newsletter regarding love letters. These are those letters that buyers love to send or wish to send or have transmitted to the sellers to see if it will give them any extra oomph. So it's traditionally, it has been standard practice in real estate. And in saying that, you know, it's been being done for many, 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 many years. I want to say it's not illegal to put forth a letter, some type of communication. But what we're going to talk about today is strongly discouraged by the National Association of Realtors. They don't like this practice. One of the things is it's a buyer's attempt to add that personal touch to their offer. It's like, you know, it's saying, pick me, pick me, pick me. Handwritten notes are the most common. However, in this future of photographs and videos, there are more and more places, people across the country, that are actually transmitting a video message to the seller so they can actually see them in person on the screen talking about. Hopefully that their sweet face and smile will win the hearts of the sellers. So this is basically what we're reviewing to as a love letter. Why write them? They're most commonly practiced when it's a hot market and low inventory. When the market's stable, we don't have quite often an opportunity where we're having multiple offers. And when there's multiple offers, there is so many different contingencies in the contract, and oftentimes people believe price is the biggest thing. However, price isn't always the key element. There are many other contingencies, and sometimes, you know, people thinking it's the price, they don't have the extra $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in order to put forth to get it. And not all sellers are looking just for the dollars. Sellers have a sentimental side as well. One thing I often told sellers when I was listing a property, as soon as you sign these documents, this is no longer your home. Stressing to them, you know, not wanting to freak them out that they're signing a contract already to give their house away, but trying to help them understand to stop thinking of it as a home and the sentimentality of I've raised a family here, or this was our first place, and you know, we established our relationship here, etc. But to think of it, this is a product for sale, and how am I going to put forth this product for sale in the best way? Oftentimes, people write these love letters to get an edge over another buyer because they can't necessarily meet the objective terms. They can't waive the appraisal. They can't waive the inspection. Anybody waiving an inspection, I think, is quite foolish. You know, saying that you're not going to ask for any credits from the inspection is one thing. But waiving the inspection completely is saying that you don't even going to have an inspection, you'll just buy it as is. What you get is what you get. There could be a huge problem with termites, there could be structural issues, there could be plumbing issues, etc. People may not have completed a seller's disclosure and realize that in the state of New Jersey, seller's disclosure is not a required document. We as agents strongly encourage it so people can see what they're buying before they make an offer, so the buyers have some ground to place their offer on, some terms, things that they know about the house. Say the roof is 25 years old, so they can make their offer accordingly. However, anything that seller writes down, if it is incorrect information, they can be held accountable and taken to court, not under real estate laws. The seller's disclosure comes under the statute of frauds in New Jersey, which is a totally different section of the law, not related to the real estate commission laws and rules. So buyers can be concerned about that if they don't know and they make a mistake. It's not a good situation for them. So it is their choice. We like to encourage them to do it as the best of their knowledge and say if they don't know, they don't remember, to put it that way, not that they're trying to hide anything. So thus is the reason, that's what love letters are, and that's why people write these love letters. But now let's look at fair housing protected classes. And one of the reasons we're talking about this is because the love letters can put forth an individual or a family's information that can make the seller choose that person based upon one of the protected classes, which thus they are now practicing discrimination. So if we look at the federally protected classes, we have race, color, religion, national origin, sex, disability, and familial status. Coming in at different times, but those are today all of the federal protected classes. In the state of New Jersey, we also have to worry about there's additional protected classes, including the federal. There is also marital status, domestic partnership, civil union, source of lawful income. That oftentimes more refers to rentals than sales. However, in this market with rentals being so hot, there are people actually writing these letters to get an apartment. Affectional or sexual orientation is a protected class, and liability for service in the armed forces is a protected class. There have been people across the country that are possibly in the National Guard, or it could be called up for service. They're on reserves, and thus doing that, sometimes they have loss of income and possibility loss of being able to pay the bills. So that is in the state of New Jersey and also a protected class. So understanding these protected classes is key when we're looking at these love letters. What did the seller base, if they read a letter, what did they base their choice on? Did they base it on one of these protected classes? Thus, somebody that doesn't fit into one of these was basically discriminated against. It sounds odd, whereas normally we think we're not giving this to a family because of its family with children, but thus when you grant a property because they have a family and they have children, now a young couple without a family and not choosing to raise a family, now they are the brunt of discrimination or the result of a discrimination because of familial status. So let's look at a couple examples here to see what are some causes, what are maybe a couple of examples of love letters, and see what everybody has to say. All right, a buyer drafts a love letter that includes how excited the buyer is to raise a family in the home. They can't wait to see future children excitedly running down the stairs on Christmas morning. So, what protected classes are mentioned in this example? Everybody? You can unmute, please. And
Religion.
religion, yes, absolutely. Religion is in there. Any others?
Family status.
Familial status, yes, familial status is in there as well. So those are two protected classes. So what is the possible violation of the fair housing laws here? This takes a little bit of extrapolation, but think, use your imagination. What could be a violation of fair housing laws?
It could be that someone isn't Christian and they would discriminate against the Christmas being part of the Catholic religion.
Very good. Very good. It is, yes, if somebody was Jewish that wasn't going to celebrate Christmas in their house, they were just discriminated against. They had an offer in as well. And if they found out, they could file a complaint, a fair housing complaint, based upon they didn't get the property because of their religion. They were Jewish. And when the investigation began, part of the investigation would come up is this letter that they made the decision on because of the children, the people selling the home, thinking about, kids on Christmas morning. That's so exciting. Oh yes, and we have such fond memories of our children running down the stairs on Christmas morning, and so we want a nice young family to have that same feeling that we had. Yet unfortunately, they just discriminated. And remember that anybody can be open to a discrimination lawsuit. Anybody can be named. They could name the buyer and the buyer's agent here that had the family that wrote this. They would be named in this discrimination suit. Yes, the buyer's agent. The buyer's agent didn't do anything, but possibly they did. Possibly the buyer's agent took that letter and delivered it to the seller's agent, who delivered it to the seller. Thus, now they are complicit in the discrimination. Unfortunately, that sounds quite harsh, but that is. So they may get off later on because they were only delivering and they had no idea what they were delivering on. But now their professional reputation has been marred because it is now known that they were named in a fair housing lawsuit, in a discrimination lawsuit. Is there another possible violation? And Debbie, go ahead.
I think I just forgot my question. Let me come back to it. It totally went out of my head. Sorry.
It's okay. Anybody else? What other violations to fair housing laws could pop up?
A family status one. So if another buyer was an unmarried couple or retirees or something like that.
Excellent. They were retirees, or maybe Gen X empty nesters, and they purchased this home because they wanted a nice home, but their kids were all grown. And, you know, just in case the kids ever came back to stay, they had extra bedrooms, but they certainly did not plan on having children and not necessarily even having holidays there. So thus they lost out because they didn't have children. So can you see how this can be problematic with a love letter? Let's look at another example of a love letter. Number 2, a buyer drafts a love letter that discusses the buyer's love of the home's architectural features and the buyer's appreciation of the various details of the home's construction. They also mention they are also dog lovers and are excited to see Buster play in the yard. What protected classes does it mention? Do I need to go back to the protected classes, or do you remember them? What protected class or classes, plural, either one, does it mention?
Would that also be like familial status?
Okay, so what did they mention about their family?
It's a dog, but
A dog, yeah.
having no child-
I'm amongst a crowd of dog lovers, which I absolutely, I so enjoy, because myself being a dog lover, and the dog and the cats are my family, but dogs are not a protected class unless they are a service animal. So thus, whereas we think of them as family, they don't meet the familial status guidelines.
Well, that's just lame.
I agree.
I like that. Yes, the dog should be, but of course that means we have to leave out cats, though, because I don't think cats can attach to being a family because they're so aloof, right?
I disagree, but
Yeah, that sounds discriminatory, John.
Doesn't it, though? Yes, I have to look at the Dogs and Cats Bill of Rights to see what classes are protected. Maybe they're protecting only tabbies and not strays. Anyway, so in this, I know people struggled to come up with something, because very key in this, there is not a protected class mentioned.
okay.
What is the possible violation of fair housing laws? There isn't a violation. It is very just straightforward. They're talking about architectural features, appreciation of the quality construction, and, you know, a dog playing in the yard. Nothing protected at all. So let's talk about some best practices in this situation of the love letters. Always make sure and educate your clients about the fair housing laws and the pitfalls of buyers' love letters. Whether you are working with the buyer that wants to write a letter, or whether you are working with a seller that would like to see them. Debbie, you have your hand raised? Oh, okay, it's sticking up there.
It's called raise.
Okay, it's sticking up there. It's hard. Still working on getting used to Zoom. So that always think about the laws and make sure, you know, you talk about this. If you're listing a property and you are reviewing the listing document with the individual, remember, there is that backside of, well, if you had the printed out form, there is the backside of the listing agreement, or that extra page. And that extra page is saying that by the individual signing this, they're agreeing not to discriminate on the person who is going to be purchasing the home. If you haven't read that page, do so, because we're all supposed to be making sure that we illuminate that to the seller. All right, let's go back. Inform your client that you will not deliver any of the love letters. Just straight out, don't. Advise that no buyer love letters will be accepted as part of the MLS. And if you talk to your sellers about this, you can actually put that in the agent notes, not in the public remarks, but put in the agent notes so other agents know that the sellers are not accepting letters from buyers for special treatment in purchasing the property. That's an easy way to stop them from coming in. But if something comes, please, as a buyer's representative, do not deliver it. Don't, you know what, I cannot be a part of this. I don't want a part of this. If you want to get it to them, you can put it in the mail. But you want to make sure that you're out of it, but strongly discourage them from doing that. Remind your client as a seller that their decision to accept or reject an offer should be based on objective criteria only. There's a lot of things. There's the price, there's the home sale contingency, if there is one. There is the inspection clause. There's the mortgaging clause. Is it cash? Is it a mortgage contingency? Many other things that can be involved in there if you read through the contract, and things that can be added by the buyer as certain contingencies. Just utilize the objective criteria. Even, you know, if you're getting multiple offers, offer to the seller that you're going to make a spreadsheet so they can sit down and analyze all these different examples, all these different components. Who has cash, who has a mortgage contingency, how much they're putting down, are they using, you know, 10% down, 20% down, 30% down, do they have a property to sell or not property to sell, etc. The closing date, etc. What are all the different options, and rank them, or at least put them in a spreadsheet so your seller can look at it. And again, this emphasizes making an objective decision. Also, avoid reading any of the love letters that are drafted or received by your client. If they give them to you and they say, oh, read this, isn't this sweet? Yeah, no, you don't really want to see it. Again, you want to have that discussion. If you have that discussion ahead of time, sometimes you can't stop people's behavior no matter what advice you give, and it happens. So do understand that it may happen. Just try not to let you be involved in it. And, you know, Debbie Effenberger asks, does anybody have a spreadsheet that they've ever used with these questions on it? I don't have one. I have used one, but the time I used it was, trying to think how many years ago it was. It was at least 6-7 years ago that I used it, and I know I didn't save it. So, because after 6 years, you know, we don't have to keep any records. So I didn't keep any records because 6 years has been long enough. Document all the offers received and the seller's objective reason for accepting an offer. If you do the spreadsheet, you can actually show how they have reviewed the objective, and you could even put a blank space for them to rank their the ones that they're going to offer from 1 to 1 to 10, or you can give them, you tell them to do it on a star basis, a 1 to 5 stars, or just put them in order. This is the one we want to accept. If this one isn't available, this is number 2, this is number 3, this is number 4, based upon the criteria in the spreadsheet. That being put forward, you have truly kept your hands very clean that this is a very objective decision. Now, is it going to happen anyway? Yes, buyers are going to, sellers are going to, or buyers are going to want to write a letter. No matter what you say, they're going to do it. So with that, if they must, here are some tips for making sure a letter is written correctly so that it doesn't bring forth any possible fair housing violations. Number 1, have them introduce themselves, tell the seller a little bit about themselves without, again, remembering those protected classes, where they're from, do they live in the area, have they lived in the area for a long time, where they work, that maybe they have a stable job, which is great because employment is not a protected class here in fair housing laws. Second item, have them tell in the letter what they like about the house and why they want to live in it. Things like talking about the construction, about the architect, maybe the molding, maybe the beautiful hardwood floors, or maybe the recently remodeled kitchen with the marble countertop. One of them loves to bake bread, and the marble countertop will be great for, kneading loaves of bread on it, or making pastries, something like that. Details about the house, not how the house necessarily relates to them being, not saying that I like the house that it's a ranch because I'm in a wheelchair and I can get around through all the hallways. Now you're bringing in disability. So caution on that. Find a connection with the seller. As you are taking the buyer through the house, what's something that they might see, that you might see, that could bring forth a common bond? Like in the earlier example with Buster, maybe they saw a picture of a dog on the wall that the owners had, a bunch of dog pictures. Maybe they saw a cat dish or a dog dish. Maybe they saw a picture of them at Mount Rainier, and they are the buyers are avid mountain climbers. So maybe try to find a connection with a seller to establish a common bond. Again, that is the winning them over sentimental without mentioning any kind of an issue with fair housing. Express gratitude. Thank them for opening up their home for you to take a tour. Maybe you toured it twice. Maybe you spent an extensive amount of time there, and thank them for allowing that to happen. And then make sure you tell them, double check and edit. Again, and if you're working with them on this, you can help them double check that they don't put anything in there that might be considered a fair housing issue. Check for typos, spelling there and there. Some people, they could write a beautiful letter, and then the husband is an English professor and he sees all this grammatical errors, and then it actually turns them off, as opposed to making it a wonderful letter. So if they must, do it, write it correctly. So any questions on that? I'm gonna go back to the agenda. Any questions about love letters that I can answer? Did I miss something? Do you have a question that, something that you might have seen in the past or worked with a buyer on?
Hey, John, it's
Yes.
Ferdinand.
Hi, Fernand.
I'm just curious. It sounds almost, it's nearly impossible just writing something correctly, because when you introduce yourself, they can deduce possibly by your last name what your nationality is, or if you say you're introducing yourself and your wife, or are you just introducing yourself, so they can deduce if you're married or not married. I mean, it's like, just coming from a technical standpoint, I mean, how can you
Right.
possibly write something without?
Well, you know what? You have a point there, Ferdinand. But if you write something, again, and that's why it really is discouraged, but if you write introducing yourself, do they see your names on the contract? And they see two names on the contract. They can deduce if it's a couple, if it's a man and a woman, and they have different last names. They could deduce that this couple is not married and, oh my God, living in sin. But do women always take the last name of men? No, they don't. So yes, those are things that, again, introduce yourself in the letter, just be cautious, if it's something that reflects on the contract already that they're gonna see, then, those deductions,
Right.
those assumptions, kind of out the window a little bit in that realm.
Right.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
Debbie?
Right. Who would actually be bringing up the lawsuit? Would it be going through MLS or would it be from the broker?
No, the buyer that didn't get the property may have found out that the other couple got the property, and maybe they happen to know that agent. Maybe they happen to know those people. Maybe they, call and ask questions. You never can tell how people are going to find out, but it could be the buyer that did not get the offer. They're going to be the ones that bring the fair housing lawsuit.
Okay.
So doesn't mean that it's always going to happen. It has happened, of course. And we're in such a litigious society. And I know some of you may have seen these multiple offer issues get very intense, going up $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 over ask with 11, 12, 13 offers. People desperately want it. When I was representing a seller with 17 offers, I had agents constantly calling me. And my buyer or my seller made the decision not based upon finances. And this was, and as I said, we're talking about probably 6-7 years ago. He based his decision on military service. He gave the house to the person that brought in the second highest offer because she was a veteran, and the owner of the house was a veteran. So he wanted to express his gratitude for her service. Whereas the initial buyer, the one with the most money, was a cash transaction, highest deal cash transaction. And he didn't give it to that gentleman. So again, there was no letters written. He knew that she was a veteran because she was using a VA loan. So, all right. In search of. if there's no more questions on that, thanks all. Again, I will post this. If there's any other questions, please feel free to email me, text me, call me on the love letters. It's just a thing to try to avoid on both sides, if at all possible. Again, as far as ethics, it's not illegal. It's just strongly discouraged by NAR. But also remember, if a person writes one of those letters and they're gushing about the property, it could weaken their negotiation standards, even if there's just one offer and they write a letter. But if they write a letter how much they love it, and now they make an offer less than list price, the seller could negotiate like, okay, yeah, now I got these people. They really, really, really want this house. So I'm going to hold out for the full amount. So they did themselves a disservice by writing that letter. All right. Anybody have any buyers that are looking for anything specific? Have any sellers that they're representing that are, have a specific buyer in mind, meaning they have I want a buyer with money. Anybody looking for a specific vendor, a landscaper, a snow shoveler? Oh, wish I would have had one of those the past couple of days. I shoveled and I snowblowed 3 times. And then this morning I was chipping away ice for a half an hour. Ugh, I hate snow.
I can recommend a chiropractor for you now.
You know what? Had this been over 6 months ago, 6 months to a year ago, I probably would have needed one. But since I've been working out with my trainer and been really working on my back, I don't have a sore back. I'm surprised. Little teeny muscle ache, but nothing more. No twinges. So I'm doing pretty good. Any buyers? Buyers looking for? You have buyers looking for anything?
I have a house going on the market in Holiday City, Silverton. It's going to be a fixer-upper. It's around 140. We're putting it on for 144.9.
Okay. So, hey, a fixer-upper in Holiday City, that's in Toms River. If people don't know, those areas, there are oftentimes a lot of contractors going in, purchasing, fixing up, and flipping. Key thing, they have to be 55 to buy. Most of those communities, I know Holiday City, Silverton, they require you to live there for 2 years before you rent it out, or at least own it for 2 years before you rent it out. So if you're looking to buy and possibly rent out, check the bylaws of the association. But if you know a contractor that wants to do flips and they are 55 or older or better, that might be something to look into. That might be a flip, I don't know. But if it's a fixer-upper, if it needs some work, a lot of those places do. And there's a big business down in the Holiday Cities in Ocean County of flippers. People going and fixing it up, selling for $150,000 more than they bought it for, making money every day. Any other buyers or sellers? Anything coming on the market? Anything buyers looking for something that somebody can connect? I was just speaking with somebody yesterday that they know somebody that was thinking about it for sale by owner, and they were able to, one of our agents put out that they had a buyer looking for, and they've got a meeting scheduled. So putting a deal together. So here's the time to say, if you got buyers looking for something, reach out. I know I just read, if everybody else read, that Tracy and Sharon that work together as a team, they are looking for 2-bedroom with ocean views condo. I know those are as scarce as hen's teeth these days, but if you know somebody, they've got an interested buyer.
John, I have 2 buyers I'm working with right now. One's looking in Atlantic Highlands for something charming around 500 with a garage. And then another one is looking for a beach house, Lavalette, Ortley, Seaside area, about 550.
Oh, okay.
Anybody has anything, please reach out. Thank you.
Yes, please reach out to Lisa.
Thanks.
I have a
I
comment.
know, if any of you have ever heard of Tower Hill condominiums, I know somebody that an off-market seller has a 3-bedroom unit, end unit there, looking, and I believe it's in the low 4s. So,
I have a
Another one.
family member looking for a house that's has waterfront, not waterfront, but just can see the water with possibly waterfront property. Under $1 million in the Highlands. I don't think I mentioned that. Sorry.
in the Highlands, okay, good, good.
John, I have someone actually. I'm looking in Hoboken. I don't think that has anyone got anything in Hoboken? I've got a 1.75 budget for a 3-bedroom in Hoboken.
You have the seller, Giles?
Buyer.
Oh, you have the buyer, okay. I do know there are a couple of people on here, this water cooler, that do have connections in that area. So,
Giles, can you get them up to 2 million? I might have something.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll talk to my friends.
there you go. There's a great connection, possibly. Excellent.
Sweet.
Anything else? Great. Everybody, I just want to let you know, I am still working on, because of the weather, I haven't been able to meet with Mr. Kaplan to get the dates scheduled for continuing education. Remember, you need 12 credits. You need at minimum of 2 ethics, and he will be presenting Procuring Cause, which is an ethics course for 3 hours. You need a minimum of 1 credit of fair housing. He will be doing a 3-credit fair housing course, which is core, and it meets that standard. Then you need, above the 6 core classes, you need another 6 either core or elective. I will be teaching New Jersey License Laws and Rules, which is a core course and 3 credits, and I will be doing a negotiations class that is an elective and worth 3. So more than likely, these are going to be coming up the end of February or beginning of March. I will let you know as soon as possible. As soon as we can get the dates set, we will get them out to everybody. So do watch your O'Brien email for dates. Okay, so people have their hands raised. Debbie Effenberger, question?
No, sorry.
You didn't raise your hand.
No.
Giles?
Yeah, I have a question about the continuing education. So I'm confused. Although I passed my exam, last November, so about 14 months ago, I didn't hang my license with you until, about October last year. Am I due for continuing education or not?
I'm glad you asked that, Giles, because I will take this opportunity to say, if you got your license after July 1, 2020, you do not have to complete continuing education for this term. So Giles, since you didn't actually get your license established until the end of 2020, you are fine. You're not required to do any New Jersey CE. So your license activated after July 1, 2020, you're not required to do CE for the 2019 to 2021 term. But after July 1, 2021, then you will need to complete your 12 hours of credits. And they are not at this point talking of increasing it. So every once in a while there are rumors, but there is no increasing it. Okay. Any other questions, any other comments, any other thing that anybody needs help on? I'm more than happy to answer those questions now. I'll give you a minute or two to think of something.
Well, I'll ask something. I'm actually new to this. I wondered, this session seems great. Are these recorded? And am I able to access some of these old water cooler sessions, John?
Giles, yes, they are recorded. And you are able to access them. We are just working on a format of a platform to publish them on, and we will be doing that shortly. I'm working with Jamie, planning on working on it today, just trying to establish. And once we get that established, we will be pushing that out. So it will be on a designated YouTube channel. So you can log into the YouTube channel and you can watch Dot Loop. You can watch Water Cooler Wednesdays. So we have things going. So yes, Giles, they will. Until that point, you know, if there's a specific one, if somebody wants their own recording of this to be able to watch it, or if somebody just wants the PowerPoint slides, please feel free to send me an email and I will mail it directly to you. All right. Thanks everybody for your attendance. I really appreciate it. Tomorrow, don't forget, is the Dot Loop hour at 10 o'clock. We will be going over the second half of the purchase and sales agreement. We went over the first half last week. So if you missed it and want to catch up before tomorrow, let me know. I will email you that recording so you can listen to that and be ready to go for the second half of contracts, the purchase and sales contract. It's really important that everybody understand it so they can explain it to their, so you can explain it to your seller or to your buyer so that they understand fully what they're signing, at least have a good grasp of it. Any more detailed questions, refer them to an attorney because you are not an attorney, but you can at least give them a good idea, general idea of what the different clauses mean, because it's 14 pages long. So a lot of different clauses. Okay, Emily Yablonsky, thanks. I will email that to you. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Take care.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
John.
Bye, thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.